Hello and good evening. Today is Thursday, December 7th. Yes, 2017. Welcome to the Composite talk show, right? Just a hodgepodge of things that are running through my head. And it will definitely be random today. I am on one. All right. So, yes, Composite, we're a talk show. I'm the host. My name is Deanne Battle. And today we're in our second season, and this is episode 11. I'm trying to get myself set up here. Like I said, I'm in a mood, not a bad mood, but I'm just kind of like, bleh, right? Like just kind of all over the place. I was sick and a bit run down a little bit earlier this week. So I'm feeling a bit better. I just had like this terrible sinus headache and a bit of a cough. So I'm really glad that went away. I know there's a mysterious pneumonia going around. I know COVID numbers are up. So I'm feeling fortunate that whatever was going through my system seems to be mostly cleared out. Now, I'm in an interesting position here because I did advertise yesterday, but I just kind of hopped on right now because I was doing work. I did not advertise again. I've got to try to figure out how to get this show in front of more eyes, right? Because I keep doing it, right? So it would be nice if someone could see the content. And thank you to everyone who does, when they have time, go back and watch an episode or two. So I've got my computer here trying to load. I just wanted to look at some articles together. So the way today's show is structured, it's going to be present, past, and future. And so all of those parts will, all of those segments, if you will have different parts to it, but hopefully it connects sooner rather than later. Let me just try once or twice more to turn this Mac on. And so I think I've spoken about this once or twice before. Homegirl needs a new computer, right? I got this Mac in 2017 when I started my MFA program, which, I had to take some time off, go back, take some time off, go back. But I finally graduated last year. When I started, I was like, I need a computer that's going to help me write these books. And so I got a MacBook Pro. Yes. And at the time, the MacBook Airs just seemed way too flimsy. So I got the Pro. And, it fought the good fight. I would just say, honestly, probably I said honestly. So yeah, in the last year, it's been a POS kind of, but once I can get it on and get it working, it does what I need it to do. But it's just, the getting it on part, getting it, switched on, is a little challenging. So it takes a few times. I think was the most times. I think 17 to 20 times one time I had to turn it on. I don't do any work on, work devices. I don't do any writing on work devices. So, it's very important to me to have a separate machine. Like I'd rather fight with the machine that I have than as opposed to, putting stuff on a work computer or whatever. Yeah. Any job that I've had and they find out that I'm also a writer, they just assume they're like, oh, you don't really want to work here. I said, no. Like, I still need a check. I still need benefits, right? I'm showing up. I'm doing the work. But it's just kind of like, it's like, oh, you care about something other than the company I want you to slave away for. Like, no, that's not how shit works. Everybody has interests outside of, what they do for a living. I won't say everybody, right? Because that's an absolute. I would say most people, right? So, my mom used to talk to me a lot about, the difference between having, a passion and a vocation. And so, if your vocation is your passion, then that's wonderful. But I think, your outside interests, right? hopefully, if you're a curious and enterprising person, they bring more to what you're doing for a living. But most employers don't think that, right? So I keep my writing life as private and as separate from work as possible, as much as I can help it. At this point, I don't even really bring it up anymore. Because people are just like, oh, they either like want to know, okay, well, where have you been published where I would read it? It's like you haven't even confirmed that you read fiction. So it's just like, oh, like, oh, where have you, I think people just don't know the questions to ask when they see that you're a writer. So I don't mind if people say, oh, well, what types of things do you write about, or what genre do you write in, or whatever. But it's usually like either, oh, like, where have you been published? And then I'm going to evaluate whether or not you're a good writer based on whatever publication you tell me. Or it's, like I said, if it's in someone at work, they'll be like, oh, you actually think about things other than this job. You must not want to be here. So those are interesting responses. And I mean, interesting in all of the myriad vagueness of the word. All right. So I didn't mean to go on that tangent, but I just wanted to explain like why I'm sitting here struggling with an old Mac laptop. Well, one of the reasons why. There are other reasons as well. But that's one of my goals for the new year, to get a side job so I can save up and get my finances in order, and then, get myself a new computer here, because the book still needs to get done. Haven't really done as much writing as I would like, but I'm really, really excited about Christmas break coming up. I've got 2 more weeks of class. Yeah. Because it's like I've got the end of the semester next week, and then we have an intersession, depending on like how certain students do, like an intersession, which is 3 weeks. The first week is before Christmas break, and then the other 2 weeks are in January. And while I'm thinking about it, happy Hanukkah to everybody that celebrates. Because I saw a lot of messages about that, so I believe that has started. Okay. So, like I said, today's theme is present, past, and future. So, I want to talk about some things that I'm thinking about right now. And then I want to jump to the past in a hopefully funny or facetious way. Stay tuned, right? It might be mom joke territory or dad joke territory. I don't have kids, so do what you will with that information. And then future, I'm going to pull some cards again, right? I kind of like that toward the end of the show as a little bit of a grounding, something to think about going forward. We'll focus on next week, right? Like, what should we be thinking about? We've got, 3 weeks and a little bit of change before the year is over. So, yeah. What should we be thinking about for next week? All right, so that is what's on the docket. Now, present, I'm thinking about a lot of stuff. The first thing I'm thinking about in the present is, where do you all get your news? I think I might have spoken about this once before. I've got to start indexing the topics that I cover here, because sometimes I'm like, oh, did I talk about this before, or do I not remember? Your mind as a creature of habit covers pretty much the same territory. So there's certain things that I'm always thinking about, certain things that I'm never thinking about. My mind is a very interesting place, I've been told. Like, I'll give you an example right now. Right before I hopped on this, Instagram live, a friend of mine sent me a picture of Cory Booker, and we've had conversations about Cory Booker. Cory Booker is like probably her least favorite politician for very specific reasons. She's actually met him before, but she sent me the article. I clicked on it. And again, I didn't read it because I was, I wanted to be on time for the show. And all I could think when I was looking at Cory Booker was, wow, he looks like a baby turd in a suit. And I don't know where that thought came from, but that's how my mind works. I looked like, wow, he looks like misshapen baby shit tucked into a suit. Interesting. It might have just been that particular picture, but that's what I was thinking, right? So that's what's going on up here. So welcome if you are uninitiated. But again, I'm wondering like where people get their news. So a bit about me. I would say back in around 2014 or 2015, I started watching more news on YouTube or, news related podcasts, just because just like CNN and a lot of the mainstream news outlets, I don't like the fact that they'll, even when they are doing a good job reporting, which is, not often, but even when they're doing a good job reporting and they'll be at a moment in an interview and you're like, oh, this is such a good question. And they'll be like, oh, we only have 10 seconds. It's just, it kills the whole vibe. Like the idea is hopefully, right, that you have experts, intelligent people, strategic people, right, talking about politics, talking about socioeconomics, talking about geopolitical issues. And, as just an average person, right, I'm not a diplomat. I don't work for, any government agency or any corporation. I just appreciate those moments where you're actually able to get a glimpse into, okay, here's what's actually happening in our country, in our world, so on and so forth. And so when you see, CNN, MSNBC, I would put Fox in there, but I try not even to turn past that channel. I'll be 100% honest. I really, just the way they frame things on that network. And, it's partially because, right, I'm more of a progressive person, which I've mentioned here before. But another part of it is just, they just take the most tawdry and salacious elements and then they just lead with that. It'll just be like the whole thing when, and I think Tucker Carlson was in on this on the network too, when something about the one of the M&Ms stopped wearing high heels, and so that ended up being controversial, right? Because she's a feminist now, she doesn't wear high heels or whatever. It's just like, it's a commercial, number one. It's an M&M, number two. But I feel like that kind of culture war minutia is where they direct attention. And it's just like, I can't take that for more than like 2 minutes. So that's why I'm usually not on that network. But like I said, CNN, MSNBC, but, they do have those moments, like I said, where you're like, oh, this is a really good question. He's pressing him on this issue. She's pressing this person on this issue. What are they going to say next? And then, inevitably they go to a commercial and it's just like, But, so in 2014 and 2015, I really started, sorry. I have a sleep notification on my phone. Oops, sorry, I think I did something funky there. I had a sleep notification on my phone, and it was to, help me monitor when I was going to sleep, make sure that I had healthier sleep hygiene, especially as I get older. Like I wake up at random times, sometimes depending. And so I was just kind of like fried, and I was like, what can I do to increase my sleep hygiene? And so one of the things I did was I turned a lot of notifications off on my phone, and I changed, I get a sleep focus notification at 7:45 p.m., which is completely wishful thinking, right? Because when I first started doing the sleep notification, I was like, oh, if I give myself a notification by 7:45, I'll be in bed before 9. I think that's happened twice. Now, the issue is that I have to, in my mind, figure out how to turn off the notification. I haven't figured out how to do it yet. I figured out how to set it up. So that's something I have to remind myself of. But yeah, so when you see me going like this, that was because that notification came up. And so, yes, 2014 and 2015, I started watching more, podcasts or listening to podcasts online. People who were either, financial experts. Like I went through a period of time where I was like watching a lot of Max Kaiser's program. He got too strident and too right wing for me. I was like, I can't deal with that. And then about 2015 and then into the 2016 election, I forgot how I found out about it, but I found out about the Young Turks. I'd watch them pretty consistently. And then, I watch them somewhat now, but it's just, to me, they're a little too personally immersed in what they're doing. So here's what I mean by that. All right. So the guy that runs the Young Turks, right? He's the face of the organization. He's the CEO. He ran for Congress, I believe, or maybe Senate, but I believe Congress. He ran for Congress last year, and now he's running for president this year. And I don't have any issue with that as if it's his personal aspirations, but I do have an issue with it because he's attached to this news outlet. So he keeps running for office. So I'm like, okay, does that mean that this news program that I had relied on, does that mean that it's morphing to now serve as a platform for your political career or your political aspirations? I think they've done a good job thus far of, regulating which stories that Cenk Uygur, gives his opinion on, but it's still unsettling. It's like, okay, so this is the second year in a row he's running for a political office. So it's just like, at some point, does that mean that the Young Turks becomes a separate, news outlet, separate from him? So I just wonder about that. And then also they have, frankly, when it comes to issues around race and diversity and inclusion and things of that nature, I feel like for the last 2 years, they've just had like a shitload of bad takes, especially Anna Kasparian and Cenk. There were just certain things that unless you've experienced it, you're not going to be dialed into it. So you can either say, listen, here's my perspective, but I'm not dialed in. Or you can just not talk about it. But they will just go with the bad take wholeheartedly and say, well, it doesn't matter. I can say whatever I want. And it's like, yeah, you can say whatever you want. But just, again, when it comes to issues around race and things like that, like, they don't really have credibility with me anymore, right? No. There are just certain things that when they're said and when they're done, again, if you're on the receiving end of it, it's not realistic for you to expect someone to consistently give grace when they're being dehumanized and disrespected. And I feel like that's the direction they go in a lot of the time now. So I'm not with that. But I'm not going to argue with them. It's their network. They're welcome to it. Right? We're all entitled to bad takes. All right. So that is the Young Turks. Now, I had a friend that introduced me to the Midas Touch, and this was about, I want to say 4 months ago, maybe 5 months ago. But I think that they're learned, right, in terms of like the actual law, right, and explaining like, well, how the law works and things like that, and the way they go through cases, especially all of Donald Trump's cases, so methodically and with such a level of expertise and ability to translate it for a layperson. So the Midas Touch is really good at that. They are really bad at getting out of Donald Trump's asshole, because they'll go days and days, and that's like the only thing that they're talking about. And I mentally and emotionally, I can't live there, for many reasons. Number one, I feel like there's so much else going on, right? And so just to, hover in this space where it's like, what's going on with Trump? What's going on with his trials and stuff like that? It seems very myopic so that's the first thing. The second thing is, hyper focusing on Donald Trump doesn't keep him out of the White House. Like, let's just be real about that. I mean, if anything, and I'd spoken about this on previous episodes, I feel like the Biden administration and the Democratic Party in general is doing everything they possibly can to hand him the White House yet again as the 47th president, I believe, on a silver platter. Just in terms of their messaging, in terms of their handling of the election, right? Not requiring Biden to do any debates. He's not really engaging in terms of campaigning, really, to be honest, unless he's engaging with donors. Other things. Yeah, the no debate thing, that really bugs me. It's just like, dude, you're, what is it, 80 or almost 80 years old? You better slug this fucking shit out, right? Like, if he wants it, he wants another term, he wants to be, number 47, show us what you got. What's your platform? What are your policies? Go to Iowa, go to all of the stops, just like everyone else, right? So if what people are saying in terms of him having a level of mental decline and things like that, if that's all cap, show us what you got. And, right now what they're doing is they're removing people, right, from eligibility from the primaries, and they're putting all the Democratic eggs in one basket. I'm a lifelong independent. I say that every time I talk about politics, just so we're clear. People see the packaging and they make assumptions. No. But, all of that being said, yeah, like this whole thing of, okay, well, we know you don't want Trump, so let's coronate Biden. No, I'm not with that. I don't think he's the best option. So if he thinks he's the best option, he should make his case like everybody else. And so, there's all this other stuff that's going on. And I just feel like the Midas Touch, because they're so hyper focused on Trump, they're missing the forest for the trees. And additionally, I also get concerned with how in bed they are with Michael Cohen. So yeah, Michael Cohen, he did testify against Trump, blah, 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 blah. He's still a dirtbag, right? Like, he's only quote unquote on the up and up now because there were consequences. They put his ass in the clinker, and so now he's like, okay, well, let me have a different approach, hopefully, for good. But all of that being said, anytime I see him on there, I start to flinch because I'm just like, you are wasting your ethical capital in terms of how seriously I take you as a news outlet because you're associated with Michael Cohen. So there's that. All right, so that is, went through Max Kaiser, Young Turks, the Midas Touch. Abby Martin, I followed her in the Empire Files for years now. I feel like her content tends to be more sporadic, unless there is, a flare up in terms of geopolitics. And so that's one thing. Another thing is I haven't seen her really do extensive dives on national politics, which is, I mean, to be fair, one, I might have just missed it. Two, maybe it's not her thing. Maybe she focuses more just on international news, which is fine. Like, I want to be, informed and educated. So that's what I'm watching for. But I just thought like, oh, like, the level of critique and, her historical knowledge and the references that she makes. I would like to see her engage more at a national level. And again, I'm not saying she doesn't. I'm just saying I haven't seen it. So that's Empire Files. I find that like her current commentary in terms of Gaza, I mean, I agree with many of her takes, but taking it back to the Young Turks and Max Kaiser, like sometimes people just get so strident. It's a lot to watch. And so I am all for reporters and podcasters having their own opinion and displaying it. But when your opinion overtakes the informational aspect of it, then it gets a little bit harder. Which brings me to a couple of newer outlets that I've found out about in the last 3 weeks or so. There's Novara and Breaking Point. Sorry, doggy's up to her usual. Xena, I took you outside already, sweetie pie. Oh boy, come on. Oh boy, you want to say hello? Yes. Oh God. Yes. Oh, your breath stinks. I love you still though. Damn, you're not gonna let me do this show? Dude, no, I took you outside. And you have a full bowl of food and water. Okay. All right, so I'm going to try to finish the rest of the show, but you might join me for another dog walk. I think she's just like not about this show for more than 20 to 25 minutes. So pray for me. Okay, so Novara and Breaking Point News, they're okay thus far. I am impressed with the scholars that they bring on, the professors, the experts, the people that have, the extensive knowledge. Now I think it might just be coming up in my algorithms because, I have been looking for content related to war stuff. But, again, I'll just have to keep checking out Novara and Breaking Point News just to see what they have on offer, and to see, again, if they're consistent, if they do their homework, so on and so forth. But I mean, from what I've seen thus far, they do. We'll just see what happens, eventually. Hopefully once, this current war in the Middle East is over, and then I'll be able to see how they cover other things. All right. Other things happening in the present. Let me go. Let's see, Congo. I'm just looking because the computer's on finally. All right. So we got, I did say I wanted to have a chance to chat more about the Sudan and what's happening in the Democratic Republic of Congo, just because it's very important to me as a Black woman with the cross reference of experiences that I've had, that whatever, this ends up being in terms of a talk show, whatever platform that I might have in this life, that I don't just use it to recreate the current gazes that we have now, which are primarily based around Western, white, European ideals, right? And so in that framework, what's happening in Israel and Gaza is much more important than what's happening in Sudan and Congo. I don't feel that way. And so it's really important to me that this show, reflect as much as you can on social media, my set of values. And so I haven't had a ton of time to prepare this, but I do when I'm in my car, and I've got my podcasts and stuff going. I'm trying to listen to a myriad number of sources, and just like I said, keep my mind open to different topics, and to different framing when it's possible and not painful, i.e. When I'm not trying to avoid Fox News. All right. Let's see here. Oh, okay. And speaking of Fox News, they've got an article here on the Congo. So, see, this is me broadening my horizons. Let's see what they have to say. Let me make this bigger. Okay, so we can both take a look at this. Okay. Dangerous rebels claim another Congo town as UN peacekeepers leave the country. All right. I'll turn it around in a bit just because the glare is not that helpful. Zena, what are you doing, doggy? All right. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do the show for another 15 minutes or so, and then I think I've got to take this dog out yet again. I think you're punishing me for the Cory Booker comment. Stop it. All right. So, Democratic Republic of Congo, okay? Armed rebels seized a town in eastern Congo on Thursday. Okay, so that was today. After violent clashing with the army, which has taken on an expanded role as peacekeeping forces withdraw from the mineral-rich, conflict-stricken region. See, when you call someone in their country conflict-stricken, I always think that that's, somewhat of a bad faith place to live, right? Because why is it conflict stricken, right? Like, you're not thinking about, right, the history of that area, of that country in this case. You're not thinking about how outside influences have played into what goes on in the area in terms of where are people getting funding, where are people getting weapons, things like that. And so it's just like, oh, well, to me, it seems very blameless. It's like, oh, these people are fighting and we don't know why. Like, we don't know where this comes from. Like, nope, that doesn't happen, right? Everything has a reason when we're thinking about death and destruction, right? Raping and pillaging, colonization and the theft of resources, right? All of that has a reason. Okay. So Military officials and residents of Mushaki told the Associated Press that M23 militants had penetrated the town and occupied key military outposts, leading many to flee. The fight is still going on. Sebimana Alexis, a resident, told AP, the inhabitants are moving en masse. M23 is a large and powerful rebel group that operates near Congo's border with Rwanda, a mineral-rich region. So, you notice that's the second time in this article they've said that. So, I've been on the planet for a little while, right? I'm not brand new here. So usually what that means is if they keep bringing up how many resources a country has, what that usually means is there was probably already an ethnic conflict dynamic going on within the country. And then probably part of the country is where the power center is. And usually the power center is the center that's connected to the Western nations, right? So that's connected to the US, the UK, the EU, so on and so forth. And then oftentimes that region is separate from where the resources are, right? And so you've got those factions of people squaring off, and then the fact that, it's mineral rich, it's mineral rich, right? That's the way the West sees it. And so then now it's a question of playing the two groups off of each other. And, whoever's left standing, is that the group that the West makes a deal with so we can continue to rob resources. And I'm thinking specifically of Nigeria, and I'm thinking of the oh my gosh, I'm so tired. What was their names? I've got to find this. And this is something I've talked about before as well. Like, oh, yes, Biafra. I'm thinking about the Biafra War, right? And the reason that I was thinking about the Biafra War. So first thing I'll say is that, and I think I've mentioned this before. So as I'm in my 40s and getting older, some people are like, my knees hurt, my back hurt, or whatever. My mind is gone. I can't remember anything. I've always had a bad memory, but it's getting worse. So it's just like, should I get tested for like early dementia? Like, it's bad. I need some Prevagen or something. Like, I need to be next to Joe Biden. Like, dude, what are we going to do? Like, this is not good. But all of that being said, the beginning of this article about the Congo, and then we'll come back to it, reminds me a bit of the little bit that I know about the Biafra War. So I only really know about the Biafra War because I used to teach Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie's Purple Hibiscus, right? And so when I'm teaching novels and stuff like that, I try to learn a little bit of the history so I can give the students, important background information. And so the Biafra War, what struck me about it when I was initially learning about it is that, the power center, right, is more in the north, but the most oil-rich part of the country is in the south, where the Igbo are, right? So what does that mean ethnically? What does that mean in terms of power centers in the country? What does that mean in terms of, prosperity and the way forward for the country, if you're having that level of strife and disagreement? So that's why I thought about that. Now, a legitimate, real historian could say, no, Deanne, that's a terrible analogy, but I'm an outsider. I have an outsider's perspective, so that's kind of what I'm bringing to it. Now, let's go back to this article about the Congo, right? So it says, I'll start from that sentence again. M23 is a large and powerful rebel group that operates near Congo's border with Rwanda, a mineral-rich region where armed groups have long waged campaigns of violence and been accused of mass killings. The group allegedly has support from neighboring Rwanda, though the country denies ties. Mushaki is a pivotal transport hub that paves the way to larger cities in East Congo's Kivu region. It has traded hands between rebels and the armies. Wow, this sounds like very extensive. Throughout the conflict, as recently as February, the latest round of fighting comes as the 100 million person nation prepares for an election. Oh, wow. Later this month. And President Felix Tshisekedi, let me try this again. Tshisekedi, I believe. President Felix Tshisekedi asked voters for another term. The election won't be held in areas racked by violence and displacement. One of the many issues observers questioning the country's ability to hold fair and free elections have raised. So, even though we're looking at the Congo, this is some shit that I wonder about too here, right? If the U.S. is attacked, right, because of our staunch, support of Israel, I'm not going to make a comment on that, but the reality is, right, that there might be blowback from that. So if we get attacked, right, the federal government's response is going to be retribution. And so Biden could technically, right, declare martial law. Okay, no election. All right. So it's really, it's different flavors to it. But so many of these leaders are war hawks and they don't have that many tools in their toolkit, right? So it's like, oh, I'm being, accused of corruption, or, oh, my constituents are unhappy, or, oh, my political, rivals are gaining power. Like, this is not looking good for me. Okay, so yeah, let's go to a war, right? Like, nobody's going to want to change leadership. And I mean, I think that's true for the most part. Most citizens of a nation, right, are not going to want to, change a president, change a prime minister, such and such in the middle of a war, right? But, yeah, so that's a lot. So they're questioning the country's ability to have elections right now. And then it says, okay, I'm not going to read the whole thing because I just realized I've been on for over 40 minutes and I'm still in the present. I want to get us to the past and the future. So it says M23 has often clashed with government forces and UN peacekeepers. Oh, and the peacekeepers are slated to gradually withdraw from the Congo at the government's request. Okay, but we don't have a date yet. Okay. And then there are local leaders and activists trying to get the youth, probably before, right, M23 gets to them, and getting them involved in civil society groups. And then they're working on creating volunteer-led self-defense groups. Wow, this is really bad. All right, so this will be the last part that I read here. M23's offensive comes during an ongoing during ongoing fighting that has caused further displacement since a ceasefire broke down in November 2022. Peace, also it's been over a year where they've been trying to get back to the peace efforts and the ceasefire. Peace efforts appear to have stalled. Sorry, I feel like I'm stuttering a lot today. The new round of fighting also comes amid questions about the region's long-term stability as Congolese leaders in Kinshasa push regional and international peacekeeping forces to withdraw. A regional force of officers from East African countries began leaving Goma, the capital of North Kivu, on Sunday. Okay. All right. So we'll take a look at that story again, probably in 2 to 3 episodes to see what's going on. But like I said, it was just important to me to take a little bit of time to go through that. All right. So one more thing in the present. I think, the thing about UPenn's president, I want to talk about that. So we'll do that next episode because that shit is off the hook. All right. Now, this is funny. So this will be our last thing in the present, and let's use it to get us to the past, okay? Okay. Now, I've definitely know that I spoke about the Jonathan Majors accusations of domestic violence, of abuse before. But I heard something yesterday and I was just like, I'm so done with this case. I'm so done with him. I'm so done with the ex-girlfriend, all of them. Right. So this is from ABC News and it says Jonathan Majors trial. Grace Jabari testifies against ex-boyfriend in domestic violence case. All right. So I'm not going to read this to you. I'm just going to go to the part that had me mad. Right. So she had testimony. I think the first day of testimony was either yesterday or Tuesday. Oh, no. Okay, second day of the trial was Tuesday. Okay, so my fault. The trial started Monday. God, these weeks are going fast. So she testified on Monday, right? And let me just go to the part that's crazy. So they were fighting over the phone because he was getting messages from another woman. Are they going to have the part that I will look at? Okay, so this article is pretty extensive. It's much longer than the article that I read. Oh, yes. Okay, here it is. Here is the part where I was like, yo, I am done with this dude. Okay, so it says the jury heard a recording Jabari made with her iPhone of Major shouting at her, demanding she behave like Coretta Scott King or Michelle Obama. If you don't get the fuck on. So he said, and this is a recording. So listen, here's what happened, y'all. Here's what had happened. I heard the quote. My friend also heard the quote. So when she called me last night when I was in my car, I said, please, Lord, let that be a lie that he told that woman that, because that's something where it's worse if it's actually true. And I'll explain why. All right. But this is true. It was from a recording. So yes, he did say this. He said, quote, I'm a great man. I do great things for my culture and for the world. The woman that supports me needs to be a great woman. Majors is heard on the recording saying, 2 nights ago you did not do that, which took away from the plan. Jabari said she understood it meant that he had to come first. Through halting sobs, Jabari described what happened after he stopped shouting, so on and so forth. But how do you get into an interracial relationship and tell this white woman she needs to be like Michelle Obama? Like, what? And Coretta Scott King? Are you serious? Are you serious? Something's wrong with that dude. Okay? So, I'm not going to weigh in on whether or not he's guilty, right? Because as I said when it first happened, right, I don't do hot takes. Don't do hot takes here, right? So we will see what shakes out from this trial. But the fact that you thought that that was okay to tell her, oh, you need to be more like Coretta Scott King and Michelle Obama, what kind of gaslighting is that? Like, if I had decided to date a white guy and he was like, I need you to be more like Hillary Clinton or Jennifer Aniston or whoever, I'd be like, if you don't get the fuck out of here. That's just not a thing that you say to people. It's just so problematic. And then what's problematic to me too is that, let me show you this here, right? So this is him coming into the courtroom. Hold on a second. But if you'll notice, right, so Megan Good, who he's dating now, is there. Then he brings, I don't know if they'll show the video or no, they don't have the video here. Okay, so let me just make a long story short. So then he shows up to court with Megan Good, his mother, his sister, and then I think Megan's mother and her sister or somebody else related to her, whatever. So you are accused of domestically abusing a white woman, and then you come to court trafficking in the moral righteousness of the black women that are around you, right? So you don't have to say anything. Their presence, they say it for you. They can sanitize the whole thing for you. I don't like that, right? Because I just feel like if you are, and I'm just going to speak about black people because I'm black, right? So I'm not going to, presume to understand how other groups of people work. But in my opinion, as a black person, I am grateful and I value my blackness every day, not just when I'm in trouble. And that's what that shit looks like from him. And given the bogus ass quote that he said to the ex-girlfriend, I'm just like, yeah, I'm so over this situation. If he's innocent, I want him to be let go and be free. But yeah, something's not right with bruh. Because there is nothing, I don't know if you've seen that woman, but there is nothing even Michelle Obama or Coretta Scott King adjacent, just on the surface of things, about this woman. So the fact that you thought that that was a good thing to say to her is just whack, right? If that's what you're looking for, listen. Denzel Washington, how long? Let me look this up. How long has he been married to Pauletta? I just want to make sure I get my numbers right. They've been married for over 40 years, okay? And let me just show you so you see I'm not BSing, right? So, they've been married for over 40 years, okay? So, if he's looking for somebody to hold him down the way she does, maybe he should ask Mr. Washington if he can have a chat with his wife and, either look in different places or conduct himself differently so he can have a Michelle Obama or Coretta Scott King type. I'm not saying he should, but I'm just saying there are other ways to go about getting the desired outcome, which is, I believe, from the context of it, I think he's, saying the behavior, right? The way she was conducting herself maybe doesn't seem regal or doesn't seem befitting of whatever image he's trying to put across. But I think kind of going to the source, and I'm just thinking of Pauletta Washington just because, I don't really know a lot of celebrity wives or anything like that. But, talking to her or just saying, do you have any friends or whatever? To me, that's a much better strategy than to be in a relationship with this other woman and you're just shitting on her, basically, right? That's so bad. That is so bad. And I'm really disappointed that he did that, right? I'm not saying I'm disappointed for his comment, right? Because maybe she is tacky or maybe she doesn't really seem to be a classy person. Sorry, I feel like I just stop scratching myself. I have this rash that's starting right here. But maybe he feels like, she doesn't, have grace, or I'm sorry, her name is actually Grace. Never mind. Maybe she doesn't have elegance or doesn't have tact. But okay. But just, I'm sorry, let me get off this topic. I'm just you really told her that she needs to be like Coretta Scott King or Michelle Obama. Who do you think you are, sir? Sir, you're a good actor, but you act in movies. You're not a civil rights leader. You can play one, but you're not. You're not a boxer. You're not a Marvel character. You're just an average black man out here slugging it out like everybody else, right? And so with that being said, I'm just, like I said, I'm just too through that he told this woman that she has to be like Coretta Scott King or Michelle Obama. No. You are barking up the entirely wrong tree, sir. Okay? So that was, like I said, we were doing present, past, and future. That was all of the present. I think that it might shut down in 3 minutes or so. I don't think Instagram lets you do super long lives. Or maybe just not me. Maybe I don't have enough followers. We shall see. All right. So that was the present. And I've got a couple of articles I'll hold over for the next episode. Now, the past. So, in the past, right, I saw some news that made me smile a little bit. Just a little bit, right? So, this was the news that I saw. Okay. Ashanti is pregnant, expecting her first baby with boyfriend Nelly. I was like, oh, isn't that cute? It just took y'all 20 years. But yeah, there they go. Right? And so this is going to be her first child. And he has two grown kids. He has a 29 and a 24-year-old. Okay, so Nelly's 49. And Ashanti, I believe, Ashanti is 43. All right, so Nelly and Ashanti are having a baby. All right. Oh, wow, check out that outfit. Okay. Well, I don't think she was pregnant in this outfit, in this picture. Maybe not. I don't know. But, so here's what it had me thinking. So yesterday I was in my car and I'm like, okay, Nelly and Ashanti, right? Having a baby. And then, Jennifer Lopez and Ben Affleck, got married after, however many years. So I was like, what other couples from the early 2000s do we need to bring back? So let me see how long Nelly and Ashanti were together. Okay, so according to this one website, Ashanti and Nelly dated from 2003 to 2013. And let me go see Jennifer and Ben. So Jennifer and Ben the first time around, it looks like it went from 2001 to 2004. Okay, so we've got Nelly and Ashanti from 03 to 2013, and then we have Benifer from 2001 to 2004. So I started thinking, what are some other celebrity couples that we need to bring back out of the archives? Because it seems like everybody's getting divorced now. Everybody's either getting divorced or Me Too'd. And I'm not saying they shouldn't be Me Too'd, but that's what's been going on for the last month. So, like, what other celebrity couples? So let me just go celebrity couples 2003. Oh, am I muted? No, I'm not muted at all. Oh, that's distressing that you can't hear me. Yikes. No, I have the volume turned up and everything. All right. So we're going to go to BuzzFeed. Let's see who the celebrity couples were in 2003 and see who we should bring back. Oh, and the first one is a bombshell. Alanis Morissette and Ryan Reynolds? When the hell did they date? I totally missed that. I like him with Blake Lively, so I'm going to say a no. We don't need to bring that one back. Ooh, excuse me. Hold on a second. Let me try something. Yeah. Okay. Can you hear me now? Just testing. Because now it's going to make me think I have over an hour of content with no audio. Okay, so Vivica Fox and 50 Cent. I think she would like to bring that relationship back, but I felt badly for her when she was dating 50 because it just seemed like she was getting exploited. Ricky, I don't even know who she is. Rebecca De Alba, sorry. Nope, we're not going to go with that. Tiger Woods and Elin Nordgren. She was never very interesting, so no, we don't need to bring that back. Eric Benet and Halle Berry. No, we definitely don't need to bring that back. I don't think Benet would be up for that at all. Travis Barker and Shanna Moakler. No. Demi Moore and Ashton Kutcher. Ashton Kutcher annoys me for some reason. I won't get into it, but when he was with Demi Moore, I thought that they were cute. I wouldn't want to necessarily bring it back. Kylie Minogue and Olivier Martinez, that shit is random. Sarah Silverman and Jimmy Kimmel, I don't like either one of them, so we don't need to bring that back. David Schwimmer, we don't care. Lance Bass, LOL, keep going. Mary-Kate, an unidentified boyfriend. I like her with the darker hair, but I don't know who that dude is. Oh, Star Jones and Al Reynolds. Okay, I'm going to put them for honorable mention to bring them back from the early 2000s. Just because they were entertaining at least. Oh boy, what was going on in 2003? Most of these couples are horrible. Kirsten Dunst and Jake Gyllenhaal. No, I don't know why people keep dating him. Sorry. David Duchovny and Téa Leoni. I've heard some really sketchy stuff about him from people that have met David Duchovny. I'm going to pass on that. Helena Bonham Carter and Tim Burton. I mean, that might work to bring them back. It wouldn't cause a butterfly effect or anything, so we could live with that possibly. Jessica Alba, Michael Weatherly. What is with these struggle couples? Katie Holmes and Chris Klein. That was a cute couple. Who is this dude? Let me read what that says. Oh, do I actually have to click on it? No, it's just a picture. I feel like I've seen this guy before. I don't know where, so I'm not going to click on it. Narvel Blackstock? I don't know who that is. I'm surprised that, well, I'm assuming that they broke up, but I don't know enough about Reba McEntire to know if they broke up, so let me keep my mouth shut. Heather McComb, James Vanderbeek. I think they're still together. Ashley Scott and Ashton Kutcher. No, anything Ashton Kutcher will pass. Oh, Uma Thurman and Ethan Hawke. Yeah, we could bring them back. All right. So Nelly and Ashanti, Benifer, Uma and Ethan. Come on, let's make it happen. Ben Harper and Laura Dern. I'm not going to lie. When she was with Ben Harper, when they first got together, I was like, how did she pull that off? But, I mean, I don't know anything about him. He may or may not be easy to pull. We'll see. I don't know. And when I say we'll see, I'm not talking about me personally. I'm just saying that if he has another celebrity relationship, I haven't heard about him since then. Kelsey, anybody with Kelsey Grammer, like, no. Just, he seems like he's very dysfunctional in relationships. Nick Lachey and Jessica Simpson. I liked them together. I liked her show. Brendan Fraser. I don't know what his wife or ex-wife did, where she was from. Or Chris Robinson and Kate Hudson. Kate Hudson is another like Kelsey Grammer. Seems toxic. Avoid her. Jennifer Garner is another Kelsey Grammer. Seems toxic. Avoid her. Gwen Stefani is another Kelsey Grammer. Seems toxic. Avoid her. Oh, Deborah Messing. I don't like her social media presence. She's fucking annoying. Morgan Freeman. He's scandalous. Let's move on. Russell and Kimora, no, definitely let's not bring that back. Oh, Britney Spears and Colin Farrell. Again, wouldn't really change much. I don't think Britney needs to be in a couple right now, but how long did they date even? That was a super quick one. I don't feel like they were together for a long time. Justin Timberlake's a fuckboy. Cameron Diaz is happy now, so let's move on. Carmen Electra and Dave Navarro. Not against it, but just both of them are not very relevant. I like Jewel, but I don't know who her dude is. Oh, I forgot this happened. That wasn't relevant. Courtney Cox and David Arquette were a cute couple. Penelope and Tom Cruise, that shit was weird. Salman and Padma, that shit was weird. Edward Norton and Salma Hayek, that was random. Oh, I don't know who this woman is. That's interesting. Oh, you know what? Janet was really happy with Jermaine Dupri. Maybe they should bring that back, okay? So, listen, I'm not going to keep going through this because these are just some struggle couples right here. Goodness. Oh, wow, and Anne Heche is gone. Okay, so here's my vote. So we've got Nelly and Ashanti having a baby. We have Benifer that got married. So here are my nominees. My two nominees for other couples to bring back from 2003 would be nominee number 1, Janet Jackson and Jermaine Dupri. Nominee number 2, Uma Thurman and Ethan Hawke. And then the honorable mention, which I think I've already forgotten. LOL. I think I was just so disturbed by the struggle couples. I forgot what I was even saying. We can. Oh, yep. And Star Jones and Al Reynolds as the honorable mention. Just because that shit was hilarious. All right. So I have not gotten shut off yet, right? So we went from the present to the past. And now let's take a little look into the future, right? So I'm going to run cards here. I don't know if that's actually a term. That just feels like something I should say. Let me run some cards for you. Okay. So I'm taking out my Oracle deck, right? Well, two Oracle decks, right? One is Keepers of the Light Oracle deck, and the other one is the Spirit of the Animals Oracle deck, right? So each animal is infused, right, based on its characteristics with, traits that can inspire us. And so that's what I like about that deck. Keepers of the Light deck, I like some of the cards not as much, but just because some of the quote-unquote Keepers of the Light just seem weird. I feel like I've used that word a lot today. Excuse me. Okay. All right. So what I want to ask about, right, what I'm thinking about is just that, what don't we see coming for next week, right? What don't we see coming for next week? I like to shuffle each deck an odd number of times, right? Why do I have like a little line across the screen? Well, hopefully it's not visible on your end. My apologies if it is. Looks like I'm seeing a line here on the wall behind me, which is so weird because there's no line there. All right. Boom, boom. So this is me shuffling this deck. So what don't we see coming for next week? And when I say next week, I mean the week of December 10th. What don't we see coming for next week? Okay. So our card here is the Humpback Whale. And it says singer. And the card reads, sing healing songs for the world. Your inner navigation always guides you. Nothing can stop you or keep you from your goal. Align with your purpose and the power in your soul. All right. So that's the first card. And remember, the question is, what don't we see coming for next week, for the week of December 10th? Two, three. Alrighty. Go 1, 2, 3. Boom. All right. What don't we see coming for the week of December 10th? Ooh, okay. Had one card pop out. Right. So this card, this was or is Master Buddha, but it came out reversed. And it says increased awareness, deep connection, trust your inner voice. So notice that, like both of the oracle cards here. So we've got humpback whale. Your inner navigation always guides you, right? And then trust your inner voice from Master Buddha. So something in terms of what we don't see coming, something that's going to need us to trust, right? Inner guidance, something about that. All right, so now let's go to the tarot, and then I will wrap up. Present, past, and future. All right. And then this dog is stalking me, so I will be able to take her back outside. Okay. What don't we see coming for the week of December 10th? Oh, wow. Well, I had 3 cards that came out together, right? So we have the Wheel of Fortune. We have the Ace of Wands. And we have the Magician. Wow. This is a good spread, y'all. All right. So from the Oracle cards, right, seems like whatever we don't see coming, we're going to have to trust our inner guidance in terms of what, happens from there, right? And then when I look at the tarot cards, right, so the Wheel of Fortune came through first, right? Wheel of Fortune is good, depending on which direction it is. So here it's upright. It's good luck, right? Things going in your favor, right? Things, your fortune, right? Looking bright. And then Ace of Wands, right? So Ace of Wands, this is, right, a new opportunity presenting itself as it relates to what sparks your passion, right? Your desires. And then the Magician is about manifesting, right? Is about, making your dreams and desires, in the 3D world real. Now, when we add these up, right? So we've got Wheel of Fortune, which is 10, Ace of Wands, which is 1, and the Magician, which is 1, right? So that comes out to 12, and then that breaks down to 3. All right. So 3, from a numerology standpoint, my understanding of 3s are they can deal with like, teamwork or togetherness, working in collaboration with others. But overall, I think that this tarot message here, let's get a little bit better about that, right? So I think it's telling us, right, what we don't see coming for next week is that if we're listening to ourselves, if we're trusting our inner voice and our intuition, right, that luck will turn in our favor in terms of being able to make our manifestations real, right? So what this message means to me is just that if your intuition, if your gut is telling you to move forward on something, that ultimately, whatever that new desire is that comes in for the week of December 10th, you or we will be able to use our power, our personal power, right? The power of our mind to manifest it in the real world. Okay, so that's what I've got. All right, and that has been the composite. I think this has been my longest episode. So this is the composite season 2, episode 11. And thank you so much for the person that was able to join me for a little bit. And thank you so much if you watch the replay. All right, you all stay out of trouble as much as you can. And let's see, today is Thursday. I'm not going to say that I'm coming back Friday because I feel like if I say I'm coming back Friday that I don't do it. You will see me Friday or Saturday. We'll do that. All right? Take care. Bye.